All right, so I just saw the new Star Wars movie, Return of the Jedi, and it was terrible. It was completely awful. The worst thing I've ever seen, 100%, and it's going to be decanonized. Thanks, Kathleen Kennedy, for ruining my childhood. Number one, I want to start out with Luke's plan. Luke's plan is way too complicated. Why even send Leia and Chewie? He should just do it himself and just murder everyone with his laser sword. Because that's what he does eventually anyway. There's no reason for him to, send in people and try and negotiate and, give Jabba a chance to peacefully work it out. That's not the Jedi way. He should just murder everyone. Number two, the worst fight scene ever. When Luke finally starts murdering people, it's the worst thing ever. There's no dismemberment, he totally misses this kick, and Leia gets to kill Jabba? SJW much? Also, green lightsabers? Where did that come from? Why didn't they explain this? Absolutely ruins the movie. And this is the worst choreographed fight scene ever, and it totally ruins the entire movie, and it's terrible. No one should ever rewatch this, ever. Now we get to the Dagobah scene, and Yoda and Obi-Wan lied. Way to retcon the original movie. What happened to Vader killing Luke's father? And now Leia is Luke's sister? She has the Force too? It's way too woke. And now, on top of all that, Force Ghosts can touch things? Totally ruins the movie, totally ruins the entire universe. Kathleen Kennedy should go to jail for this. Number five, forced diversity much? We've got black X-Wing pilots, a woman in charge of the Rebels, Asian and women X-Wing pilots, not to mention this guy over here. Who thought we'd wanted him back? That's awful. I can't believe that they would do this to my Star Wars. Now we get to the briefing scene, and wow, another Death Star? Really running out of ideas, guys. And now a woman is in charge of the Rebels? What happened to all those guys on Yavin in A New Hope? Woke retcon. And who's this fish guy? Why didn't we see him before? I hate him. He sucks, and I wish he'd get sucked out a window to his death. Why is there a shield on the planet, and why not just put it on the Death Star? Way to make the Empire seem really stupid, you guys. Speaking of Endor, they made all the male characters idiots, but Leia is a Mary Sue. And now, one word, Ewoks. Do I even need to say anything else? Also, they drive now? They drive now. Also, there's a pointless death fake out. Absolutely ruins the movie, the worst movie they've ever made, and it's all Kathleen Kennedy's fault. Now the Emperor, who is this guy? What's his backstory? Why does he look different in this movie? How come he has the Force? He can just shoot lightning from his fingers? How come nobody else uses this? And on top of all that, he just dies for no reason. We don't get any backstory. We don't get anything. And he just gets killed for no reason? Wow. Absolutely shameful. I've got some other miscellaneous notes here. Luke was able to beat Vader, but he only trained for a few weeks. Yeah. Actually, you know what? He's definitely not a Mary Sue. He absolutely not. I'm not going to say why. Also, he tries to murder his dad, which is, it's way out of character, Luke wouldn't do that. But, imagine if, later on, he turned on his lightsaber next to his nephew, who eventually kills Han and Leia. I mean, that would be fine, because he learned not to kill his family members in this movie, so it's, it'd be fine, as long as he didn't, try and murder him, which he probably wouldn't do, right? Yeah. Also, how did that Ewok learn how to drive that speeder? They never even gave an explanation that he had flown them before and grew up around ships and speeders his whole life. Absolute Mary Sue. Also, who turned out the lights in Yoda's hut on Dagobah? Plot hole. Also, how did Luke get his X-Wing back? This movie doesn't respect the previous films, and it just goes back on what they established. Also, why wasn't Leia in the bikini the whole movie? And also, who are those dudes hanging out with the Emperor? We needed their backstory. Thankfully, this guy down here, he's gonna remake them. He's gonna remake these movies, right? It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. So I've got some changes he should make, because he's gonna remake them. Number one, that Yub Nub song sucks. We should replace the whole scene with visuals that are absolutely awful, but adding a much better song. We should also change Lopty Neck into a hideous CGI nightmare. Also, who's that guy standing next to Ghost Yoda and Ghost Obi-Wan? Plot hole. George should make 3 prequel movies that we will convince ourselves were good, even though we won't ever actually rewatch them in their entirety, and we'll just use the actor who plays Anakin as the ghost instead. Also, the Sarlacc looks like a sandy butthole with teeth. We should add a weird Audrey 2 mouth to it, since Frank Oz directed Little Shop of Horrors. Also, those Ewoks don't fucking blink. We should give them CGI eyelids. And then Vader is really quiet when he throws the Emperor down the pit, and it leads to a very powerful scene with some good nonverbal acting. I hate it! Let's make him say, "No!" in a really stupid way instead. In conclusion, Kathleen Kennedy is the devil, and she's working with the Disney woke police to make George Lucas sad, and all in service to almighty Disney. And they're killing our childhood, and Star Wars sucks, and I hate it, and I'm gonna rewatch the original movies because they still exist, and just because they make a movie that I don't like doesn't mean that I have to stop watching the originals, because they still exist.